here's Brody Brazil.
Hey, Las Vegas, how's it going? I know you're watching these videos because YouTube tells me that you are, plus I see a bunch of comments. And look, I appreciate it, but I also really feel the need right now to clear up a bit of a misconception. I've seen it lately that my videos and my approach appear a little bit slanted against Las Vegas and pro-Oakland, and that I should maintain some journalistic integrity in all of this. And that's where I got to stop you right there. I want to make it very clear, this has been established long ago, but some of you are new to me and new to this channel. I am not a journalist. I'm a sports broadcaster, which is similar. And I know you see this home studio and you see me on television and you think, oh, journalist. I am not that. I hold journalism in a very high regard, and I do not hold myself at that level of prestige. But I do want to tell you this, even as me, established, I guess, Bay Area sports broadcaster, I do operate on similar principles like integrity, responsibility, sensibility. I need to earn people's trust. And so that's why here on these videos or in real life or anything I say on television or radio during an interview or one of my own videos, I'm always going to try and tell you the most interesting things, informative things, necessary things, and truthful and accurate things. I cannot afford to lose anybody's trust or respect. And so in those ways, I am operating like a journalist, but I'm not a journalist. Of course, I'm seeing all of this happen in this A's situation through the lens of somebody who was born and bred here in Northern California. Again, I will never lie to you. I will never lead you the wrong way. I really don't ever want to be wrong about anything. I might have some opinions, some that you don't like, some that you don't agree with, but that's fine. We can all disagree at times. I take no offense to that. Okay, that being established, the point of this video is to pass along 5 things I think Las Vegans should know during this pivotal stretch, and potentially legislature right around the corner from public funding and maybe an A's ballpark kind of really getting approved that way and getting the finances approved. It's already several steps through the process. And again, going back to what I just said, I'm not lying to you here in telling you that at this juncture, right here, late May, only a couple days left in this month, at this point, very likely to me that the A's are relocating to Las Vegas, right? So we'll be very truthful and honest about that. But 5 things I want to pass along as this process continues to unfold. We'll start with this one, but I'll also tell you at the very end, there's going to be a bonus thing, more than 5, actually 6 things that Las Vegans need to know. Okay, 30,000 fans, I'll tell you right now, is not going to be easy every single game. To average 30,000 fans in attendance for all of your home games through 81 of them every single season, it's difficult to do. 12 teams currently do that. But look at the cities where these teams are from. Los Angeles and both of its teams. New York and both of its teams. In Chicago, it's the Cubs. There's Atlanta, there's Houston, huge markets. Internationally in Toronto, Boston, Philadelphia, even San Diego because of their popularity right now. And let's be clear, these are either really large market teams with a ton of fans and a ton of people to draw from, or they are teams that are red hot and spend a ton of money, like $300+ million per season, to get the big name players that you do want to see on a Thursday afternoon baseball game. But to get to 30,000, I understand the capacity of this proposed ballpark seems super small, and it is. In fact, it is extra small. The next closest, smallest ballpark in Major League Baseball right now is in Cleveland at about 35,000. Used to be 40-something thousand. They shaved off almost 10,000 seats to get down to 35, but that is still a significant amount more than 30,000. Why am I making such a big deal out of 30K? Well, because that does not give you a huge margin to have much smaller crowds, because the A's are promising 2.5 million fans per year that will spend money that will help pay off the tax district, which will help pay off the bonds floated by Clark County. If you basically don't draw 30,000 fans on average across an entire season, there's some question as to whether the team will be able to pay off these bonds, or whether the tax district, I should say, would be able to pay off the bonds that Clark County is going to float out there. So at one respect, right, you can't afford to have much less than 30,000, but here's the other side of it. Because you're limiting the capacity to only 30,000, you can't have a night where you get 53,000, right? And after a couple games in a row of 21, 21, 21, 21, okay, that's 9, 9, 9, 9. There's 36,000 that you need to make up all of a sudden. How would the team do that? How would the stadium do that? Well, you hold other events, but now maybe you need to have events while the baseball team is off on a road trip, or maybe all winter long you need to have constant events at the ballpark. Maybe it's more of a multi-purpose venue. So you don't even have the ability to have a huge crowd. You can't bring in those 53,000 like Dodger Stadium can for an all-star game or a playoff game or a World Series game, dare I say, in Las Vegas. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You need to fill it up to the max on a regular basis. That's not easy. I mean, ask the other 18 teams in Major League Baseball who are not at 30,000, right? They'd love to be, but they're not. You don't have the ability to have much smaller crowds, but you also can't have any greater than 30,000 to help you compensate throughout the course of a season. And look, don't get me wrong, Yankees and A's in Las Vegas would draw more than 30,000. Dodgers and A's. Think about all the Dodger fans that would drive over to Las Vegas to see their team for a couple games, or Angels fans or Padres fans, but there's no opportunity to ever draw more than 30,000. So the bigger point, though, 30,000 isn't easy. And I'm talking about mostly good years here, not like the tires. Wait until the lean years happen. Right? We know it's the nature of sports, and it's not to project that the A's will be like bottom of the division or league or forever. That's not going to happen. There are ups and downs with any team. Well, look, I understand. In Las Vegas, the Golden Knights, they don't seem to have many downs. They've made the playoffs every single year since expansion. They got a great draft. So did the Seattle Kraken. They got literally out the door the best way possible, off and running like nobody's business. But understand, that's not the way it is in professional sports generally. You're going to have rough years, rough decades. So now getting to that 30,000, right? When times are good, you're a lot closer to it. And when there's a honeymoon period, first couple years of a new ballpark and a new team in town, yeah. But you need to sustain this for a very long time to pay off all those bonds. So just understand that like 30,000, I know people say, well, this is no problem. There's tons of people that visit. Do you know for sure that you can get 30,000 every single game, every single year? Because outside of these teams, again, the 18 others will tell you that it's not so easy. Okay, I hear this comment, and I see this one here on my channel from Las Vegas. MLB expansion is not going to happen, so we got to take the opportunity to grab a team like the A's while we can, right? We can't miss on this. This is our big chance and shot. We don't even want to wait a couple more years. I'm here to tell you, and I'm not a betting man, Las Vegas, but this is something I might wager on. Major League Baseball is going to expand within this decade of the 2020s. Commissioner Rob Manfred has basically promised it already. You can see baseball is imbalanced with an even amount of total teams, but 15 teams, an odd number in the American and National League. They'd love to get to 32 total. They'd love to get to 16 and 16, have things nice and symmetrical, even numbers all the way around. That is almost a certainty, but it also needs to wait until the Oakland and Tampa situations get resolved and settled, because you cannot have expansion and relocation happening simultaneously. There's way too much communication, speculation, hurt feelings. There's a lot that can go wrong when you have all that maneuvering and manipulating simultaneously. So it's very clear, and I actually do respect baseball for saying we can't handle expansion before we handle potential relocation. We've got to get these two teams settled in new homes. But going back to expansion, why would anybody in Las Vegas not think that they are highly considered for an expansion franchise? Nashville is going to be the team out east. And geographically speaking, if you're baseball, I think you want another team out west. Sure, I understand that Salt Lake City's in the mix. Portland's been in the conversation for a long time. I guess you could call like San Antonio west, but not really. Expansion's going to happen. expansion in the East is almost guaranteed to happen. So expansion in the West, like you could see how this is lining up. Again, I understand the sentiment that you want to grab the first opportunity that comes your way. But just also know that this won't be the last opportunity if, in fact, Las Vegas does not land it or does not prefer this opportunity. Some people would rather wear a custom suit than something off the rack that maybe doesn't fit perfectly, if you understand my analogy there. So I want to tell most people from Las Vegas who maybe think that this is not the truth, I firmly to believe that this is how it's going to play out. Okay, the cost of being a good team is actually way bigger of a deal than paying for a ballpark. Yeah, I know right now everybody's talking about public funding and contributions and the site and the land for free and the waived relocation fee and the $1.5 billion ballpark that the A's are helping fund. And I get it, from the standpoint of the team and from the governor's office, they're trying to say, well, the team is going to largely, fund this to a very high percentage and degree. But I'm here to tell you that the bigger cost of the A's going to Las Vegas has nothing to do with the ballpark. Yeah, $1.5 billion, that's a lot of money. The A's are also getting some kickbacks to make this happen, like more than $1 billion of incentives along the way. But the real cost here, it's not building a ballpark. It's building a competitive team that people want to go out and see on a regular basis. Currently, the A's here in 2023 are spending $60 million on player payroll this season. The MLB average this season is $100 million more. So what I'm here to tell you is not the total cost. I'm going to tell you the additional cost. Every 10 years, every decade for the Oakland A's, what would be the Las Vegas A's, to compete in that market, that's a cost of at least $1 billion. Let's throw in inflation plus the growing cost of player salaries over the years, probably closer to $2 billion every 10 years. Forget the ballpark once and done, right? This is a recurring cost, something that they do not do right now. Now, look, can you be a successful team without a high payroll? Of course. Have the A's proven that to us in recent times? Yes. But can you sustain it for any long period of time? No. The A's have also proven that to us. Look at the last decade. Kind of piece together a team in 12. Oh, they're good. They're magical. 13, win the division again. 14, make the playoffs again. But then 15, you turn everybody over because you cannot afford to keep them. 3 years. Same thing with 18, 19, 20. You get the Matt Olson, Matt Chapman era, but you decide not to keep players like that, or Sean Murphy, or Marcus Semien, or a lot of the others that came in free agency. So it just goes to show you, yes, you can be good and competitive in spurts, but if you really want to be a good team financially, if you want to be a viable team in Las Vegas, you're going to have to spend an additional, not an overall, but an additional $1 to $2 billion every decade just to be competitive and, to draw fans and to pay off the bonds that will be floated by Clark County. So it's more than just the ballpark right now as the cost everybody talks about. How will you fund a team is probably the bigger question. Okay, I've also seen this sentiment from people in Las Vegas, like right here on the YouTube channel. And they say something like, Las Vegas has already accomplished more in a new ballpark for the A's than Oakland did in 6 years. Las Vegas accomplished more in 6 weeks than Oakland did in 6 years. And let me first acknowledge where that's coming from. I agree. Las Vegas is a yes town. They get stuff done. Almost said something different. They get stuff done in Las Vegas. That's their reputation. That's how they operate. I get it. And that's credit to you. That's why the A's turn their focus in your direction, because this was really hard to get in Oakland. It's not impossible. In fact, it sounds frustratingly possible or frustratingly descriptive how possible it was in Oakland, how close that answer was. And it's a difficult one to get. And all of a sudden it wasn't even trying to be attained anymore. But this is easier to get in Nevada and in Las Vegas. But let me also tell you, it's not like the A's on April 19th just flew to Nevada, found something and said, let's start. The A's have been at this with a presence in Las Vegas for more than 2 years now. Do you remember late May 2021, that famous, or should we say infamous, tweet by Oakland president Dave Cavil. He was at a Golden Knights playoff game, showed a video of the crowd, said how magical it was. It set off a lot of alarms and red flags here in Northern California. At the same time, I will say this, it caught the eyes of city officials in Oakland. It may have spurred the July 20th term sheet vote that they took. Maybe they otherwise wouldn't have had that on their agenda for that day. It caused a stir that caused some other things in motion, but it also sets a timeline for us. That's when the A's really started making the rounds in Las Vegas. And to say that, oh, they've just arrived and they've just got some things together, no. Only recently have they made tangible progress to have an agreement that turned out to not be an agreement at the Wild Wild West site, and now an agreement at the Tropicana Hotel site, which also might be in question because, that legislation that's going to be pitched, it's not site-specific. So in Las Vegas, yeah, you get a lot of yeses to the tune of you've already had 2 sites, maybe even a third one in the mix or right around the corner. To say that Las Vegas doesn't make progress, completely wrong. You are a yes town. There's no question about it. This is what you do, and I compliment you for it. You get stuff done. At the same time, though, to say that Las Vegas has accomplished as much in 6 weeks as Oakland has in 6 years, that's not accurate at all. Okay, I'm also here to tell you, because I see this comment, that when the A's come to Las Vegas, that alone, change of scenery, will help turn this team around. Again, I'll defer to the Golden Knights. They were special, the way they entered the NHL, but this is very different. Scenery for a baseball team that's already existed, it's not going to change their record. You also don't want your scenery to be what looks to be a vacation home to the Dodgers, Angels, and Padres fans that are inevitable to come up the road and try and overtake your ballpark every time their team plays there. Look, the A's they've always had a great eye for talent and scouting and acquiring players. They simply don't keep them for years at a time. But it also takes a lot of good luck, a lot of fortune to actually be a good team, to win games. I know fans will look at the current record right now and make comments about how bad they are and how Las Vegas alone would turn that around. No, that's not going to make the opposition any easier to go against. It's not going to improve your roster one bit to get the better players that you need or to develop the ones you've already got in your system. The location literally does nothing. I understand you want it to be a feel-good story, and you've had feel-good stories before, but it does not work out that way. Okay, look, I've given you 5 things for Las Vegas to know, but I'm going to throw in my bonus one here. I can't remember if I mentioned that before. There is a bonus. Las Vegans need to know that they actually probably don't know everything that's gotten the A's up to this point. And I understand you'll look at the Coliseum attendance and the recent low figures of 2,000 at a game, which was the lowest since 1979, and you see the lack of attendance, and then you think, well, maybe that's a lack of interest in this team. That's not the case. You also see a team that's got a pace right now for 100 and almost 30 losses this season. And you try and figure out, all the answers there, or why the Howard Terminal thing got put on pause, or the A's other stadium site searches across years and decades. I'm putting this all together, hopefully in one basket, to say that Las Vegans, you are relatively new to this team, this logo, this conversation, everything that's been going on. And I know some of you have been paying attention to it, or you've gone and done the back research on it, so you understand it a little bit better right now. But for all the comments and things that are being said in the here and now, and I get it, you're just not privy to what's led us to this point. I would suggest that what you should know is the stuff that you don't know. Again, the history, what's led us here, and how the A's have got to this point. Because I do see a lot of times comments being made that are just so off base, and I think it's just simply because you didn't experience it firsthand, and I understand that. Okay, that's the end of the video. Appreciate you watching here all the way to the end, so thumbs up for that. And also, put thumbs up down below. And also, don't forget, subscribe to this channel so that I can see you next time.